Hey guys, what's going on? So, we need to talk about this. And I really wanted to wait to make an updates video for, like, when the actual update is in the game. And that's when I was going to make a whole bunch of videos, and I wasn't going to really talk about things prior to that because we didn't know all of the information, because all of the information that is out there could theoretically change. And, like, things can be different. All of the, like, talents could change. I think we all remember Cruel Taint being Absorption of Evil, turning into Absorption of Evil. That's an incredibly small change, but that was a change. And, you know, like, and every, YouTuber and video thing that was out there, it said Cruel Taint, right? They can make changes to any of the numbers, any of the things. That's why everybody is, or like the Rush Royale Discord is very clear to say, all of the things that are happening, like all of the information that you're seeing, that's all like, it's subject to change. That it could, it could happen. It probably will be similar to that, but the numbers could change and it could be completely different. So I didn't necessarily want to make information and then have to make information again anyway and double dip on content. But then this dropped, and this is something. This is something. So I misunderstood when I first read this. And it's since the next launch of the regular Rush for Glory event, the Riding Hood will be available for guaranteed purchase in the store for Glory tokens. When I first read that, I thought that meant that if, like a regular offer, like one of those $40 buy Inquisitor, because, you only need one more Inquisitor, $40, buy Inquisitor, right? I thought it was going to be one of those, and they were going to have Riding Hood as, in the store, like in like a paid version of the store, as one of like the packs, and you can just straight buy a Riding Hood for some amount of money, probably $40 or whatever. And then it said you will still be able to obtain this unit by other means until March 5th, right? And I didn't read this in the way that they meant for me to read this, because that's how I figured it. I was like, oh, okay. Or, you're going to be able to purchase it in the store for Glory tokens, right? And that is what it is. But that's not the problem. The problem is you will still be able to obtain the unit by other means until March 5th. And I didn't quite get what that meant. And I went into the comments, and one of the active comments that Rush Royale officially made is, after March 5th, the Riding Hood will only be available in the Rush for Glory event. As in, right now, you could get it in regular legendary chests in the pool, and now it's very specifically going to be only available in Rush for Glory. And now, if you remember, they just added Genie very specifically to just Rush for Glory. I'm sorry, to just Royal Trials. It's currently in the game right now. It's, of course, going to reset every time. Every time I leave my my Rush Royale open, it always resets. Because I always want to just, like, quick go to it, because, this is a video, and it's timed, and this is just increasing my time. I mean, I obviously could cut this out. I could edit this out, or I could have paused, but I had it open like a second ago. Anyway, now every single time it happens, I'm always going to mention it. It's just, I have to do it. In Royal Trials right now, they added Genie. They added Genie to Robot and Spirit Master. The other units are Sea Dog and Minotaur. And then, obviously, the Necromancer and the Zeus, right? And there's, and Tesla. They are currently going to buff Tesla. And that I actively saved. Because I would also like to talk about this. So they are going to buff Tesla. The base damage is going from 847 to 930. The damage per charge is going from 1,056 per charge to 1,506 per charge. These are not insignificant differences. These are giant differences. Tesla is going to be much, much better. And Tesla is going to be much better because Scrapper is going to be insane. Scrapper seems like an innocuous change, where all it doesn't have a stacking thing. And I think in my original video that I was going to make for Scrapper, I was going to say that it's good, but I don't think it's going to be amazing because it doesn't have a stacking kind of mechanic. It has a plus % if you use Recycler, but only when you scrap, so it's an activation cost. That's not even the reason why Scrapper is going to change this meta. Scrapper is going to change this meta because you're going to be able to have 7 things on the field as opposed to just the 4. Most decks used to run 4 units. In Light Inquisitor decks, Tesla decks, Spirit Master decks, they used to run 4 because you're also trying to upgrade 2 Knight statues. Or 1 Knight statue if you happen to use Sharpened Spear. And the less you have on the field, the more likely, more important things are going to level up. With Scrapper's triple upgrade, and with its ability to, whenever you scrap a thing, you gain mana back, and with its mana ability to where you can lower the level of Scrappers, you are going to be able to 7 your field so quickly. It's going to be insane. You're going to be able to Scrapper forever. If you want to keep Scrappering for the entire game, you will be able to with new Scrapper. And nothing will stop you. You can just keep Scrappering forever. And you could have 7 units on the field, 2 Knight statues, everything will be level 7. Because you will be able to Scrapper forever. And you can almost guarantee that every single game. That is going to make Tesla much better. It's going to make other things much better. It's going to make Light Inquisitor much better. It's going to make Cultist much better, because it's going to be much more consistent. But it's going to make Tesla better. And that's, in terms of my argument, Tesla is going to be amazing. New Tesla is going to be amazing. I also have to talk about Shaman really quick. Shaman shoots at random tiles instead of units. So if it targets a tile that doesn't even have a unit, it doesn't do anything. And that's just one of the changes to toxic decks. Because another change is Sea Dog, the bomb talent, now it's only 1 bomb. The ghost talent, it's only 1, you only target 1 thing with the ghost. And then when you get gold tiles, or when you get the better treasure, you target 2 things. Before, when it first started and it was broken and everybody was using it, it was 2 ghosts and then 3 ghosts. And now it's 2 ghosts and 1 ghost. And then when Sea Dog just started, it was like 2 bombs, and now it's 1 bomb. Frost, the max talent, it only does it every... I'm sorry. It only does it every 3 fusion ranks, because it used to be 2 and then now it's every 3, which means that before, a level 6 Frost could auto freeze 3, like a max Frost could freeze 3 units because it was every 2. Now that it's every 3, you can only do a maximum of 2 units, because it's 3, 6, and then you can get to a 7, but it's only every 3. And so even at 6 or 7, you're only at max freezing 2 units. I bring this up because now that all of the units that are in Royal Trials are Spirit Master, which is running the meta right now and is definitely going to be part of the conversation for top 2 cards. Genie, which is a part of the conversation for top 3 cards. And then now that they're going to add Riding Hood, very specifically, they're taking it out of the legendary pool to put it into into Rush for Glory, which is obvious. Riding Hood is the number 1 card. I think Spirit Master is number 2. And I think Genie is number 3. Robot has a place in the top meta with Robot, probably not Robot Shaman decks anymore, but it's probably going to be a very good Robot Clock deck now. With Snowflake, you're going to do Robot Clock Snowflake. Tesla decks in either form, whether you decide to run Sharpened Spear with 7 Teslas and Scrapper and new Scrapper, or you decide to run Tesla Clock, you can do either, and both of those are going to be very good. I don't think that Sea Dog and Minotaur are that great anymore, because that entire deck is getting nerfed. Sea Dog got nerfed, Shaman got nerfed, Frost got nerfed. The other unit that you would use is Minotaur, and Minotaur didn't get nerfed, but I don't think Minotaur is enough to save that deck if every aspect of that deck is getting nerfed. But I think the idea that Spirit Master and Robot and Genie and Tesla are all event units, Rush Royale is making it very difficult for me not to say that this is now a pay-to-win game. When Corsair was doing infinite damage, when Meteor was doing infinite damage, in my last tier list, if you've seen it, I put those cards as S+. I created an even higher tier that was unto itself, that was percent damage is the best thing in this game. That a Corsair doing infinite damage with a Banshee is one of the best mechanics in this game, because it allows people that don't have event units to beat event units. It was actively forcing people that would never play Frost to play Frost simply for their Ice Walk, so that you could get rid of bombs. That kind of meta change, I felt that was what this game needed, because I didn't feel like there was very much of a rock, paper, scissors feel in this game. You either had the best attacking unit, which is obviously Riding Hood, or everything else is just lesser. Everything being equal, if you have a max Riding Hood deck and it was against a max Genie deck, the Riding Hood deck would win. You have a max Riding Hood deck and a max Inquisitor deck, the Riding Hood deck wins, because it's just damage. And in some cases, you have a max Riding Hood deck and you have a Toxic deck, the Riding Hood deck can outlast it anyway, with one Riding Hood. Riding Hood is far and away superior to every deck out there in terms of regular damage. And when they had percent damage, that's when I felt, this is giving people that don't have, a level 15 Riding Hood a chance. They took away that. They took away Corsair's percent damage. Meteor decks don't do as well as they used to anymore because they nerfed Meteor. And then as quote unquote compensation, they added Riding Hood into the legendary pool, which I thought was a good idea. And then they added Genie into Royal Trials, which made sense to me because it's good and it's an event unit. And, Royal Trials is the oldest event. There were probably people who didn't care about Royal Trials anymore, like me. I have a max Spirit Master. I have a level 13 robot. I've been playing it since since Royal Trials started. I didn't care about Royal Trials anymore. And them adding Genie gives me incentive to play Royal Trials, right? But it always seemed weird to me that they didn't add Riding Hood into the events as well, because it's a very good unit. And it would be smart of them to add Riding Hood into an event. And now that they have slowly chipped away and taken away every single amount of competition that card could potentially face, between Corsair and Meteor decks for free to play, or quote unquote free to play people that are just pulling things from legendaries chests and not spending the you get, I want to say 350. It's in a free to play way. You're getting 50 tokens here. That's 150 tokens. That's 250 tokens. That's 400 tokens. In a free to play world, you are gaining 400 tokens every time you play Royal Trials. It costs 1,800 tokens to get a event unit. You need 15 technically event units to get a max event unit. How many events would you have to play? I've done this math before, I just don't remember it. How many events would you have to play to get a max event unit? Do that math. As a free-to-play person, do that math. Because I believe I believe the number that we came up with was 5 years. That it would take you getting to the max event, like with the rotation of the event, it would take you 5 years to max out an event unit. Now, technically, because you would be on the same time clock, you could max out 3 event units at the same time if you did all 3 of them free to play for 5 years, but it would also take you 5 years to get one from each event. Because you can do one from here, you could do one from Mirror Match, you can do one from Rush for Glory, and it would take you about 5 years. That's insanity. That's, like, I am all about the long game in this game. I am all about, like, eventually, like, I've been playing this game for 4 years. Eventually, you will upgrade your cards, like your commons, rares, and epics. Like, if you just play this game, if you play co-op, you will eventually get all the cards. You will max them out. You will get, with just commons, rares, and epics, you will attain 3,000 crit, which is a solid amount of crit. Like, I am all about the long game in this game, but 5 years for, like, a free-to-play person to get a max event unit is beyond, like, suggesting that they could eventually get a max event unit without spending money, without spending like $10 to, and then if you wanted to buy like the night pass, it would be $10, which means that it would be $150 to max an event unit, which is much better than like some of the, hundreds, 500s that, $1,000 that people spend on events. Like when, like the actual, like the Christmas event to get Riding Hood, or the Halloween event to get Riding Hood, or the Christmas event to get Genie. It's better than like the thousands of dollars that they were spending on there, or 500s of dollars that they were spending there. $150 isn't that much. It's not that, it's not quote unquote that much. You can technically save $20 or $30, you can save $30 if you decide to use Books of Secrets, on the 13, 14, and 15, because then you're saving 3, or instead of, spending, because it's 3, you would need 3 copies at 13, 14, and 15, and you could save $10 each time, because a Book of Secrets would cost you 2 seasons of Books of Secrets would cost you $20, whereas to get 3 event units, you would have to spend $30, so you were saving $10, so you would be saving $10, $20, $30. You could do it for $120. You can max out an event unit for $120. Essentially, over the course of time. And I suppose that's kind of reasonable over the course of time. But this is all to say that this game is... Rush Royale is making it very hard for me to say that this is not pay to win. I don't think that the benefits of having max everything is that great. To be completely honest, I don't think the benefits are that great. I think with the contender stores, the best thing in there is that you get an extra page per month, probably, if you fight your way all the way up until there. Maxing out, like buying weapon fragments to max out legendary equipment, like you could do that as a reasonable free-to-play player. Epic hero fragments, it's fine. Getting better heroic fragments is good, because then you could, if you have all of the heroic items, you can start maxing those out. Cores don't matter. It's really the page of secrets, because then that's going to allow you to upgrade all the rest of your cards. And so I don't think that the benefits of somebody with max things, it is that great. But the fact that most decks that are the best decks moving forward are going to be event unit based decks, whether it be Riding Hood or Genie or Spirit Master, that's going to be a very tough sell for people that are free to play or reasonably free to play. Because you can justify buying the season pass because you're getting the Books of Secrets, you're getting all of the benefits of the season pass, you're getting the legendaries from the season pass. And maybe it could be argued that you should just hard focus Riding Hood, just get Riding Hood, don't get anything else. And I think that might be the new goal for everybody. But I know that as soon as everybody or a reasonable amount of people have Riding Hood, they're either going to, one, nerf Riding Hood so that it's not good, or a much less good, or they're just going to add another legendary that is better than Riding Hood. Not like a lot better, but in the way that Riding Hood is definitely better than Genie. In the way that Riding Hood is definitely better than Spirit Master. Like, Spirit Master's not bad. Genie isn't bad. But Riding Hood is definitely better than it. By the time most people have a max Riding Hood, in the same way that most people have a max Inquisitor, in the way that most people have a max Cultist, by the time most people get a max Riding Hood, they're just going to add something that is better than Riding Hood, and then put it in events, and then that will be the new $150 thing that you have to get. I think that if you had a Riding Hood, and it's like the second best thing, I think you're still going to be fine. You're going to beat most things, right? But it's getting very hard for me to justify that this game isn't pay to win. Because if you take away all of the event units and you are left with the rest of the regular legendary pool, what is the best deck? I think an Inquisitor deck might be pretty good. A light Inquisitor deck might make a comeback with Sharpshooter, or with even with, probably not with Clock, but I mean, like, maybe with like a Sharpshooter or something. I think Cultist is very strong. Demon Hunter, I almost forgot. Demon Hunter's getting a nerf. Absorption of Evil, if every Demon Hunter has a mark, the next mark no longer goes to the strongest Demon Hunter. It just goes to a random one. A random Demon Hunter instead of the one with the highest rank. It just goes to something. So when you scrap something, when you merge something, it can just go to a level 1 Demon Hunter. And then what do? Do you scrap the level 1 Demon Hunter so that it can go to a level 2 Demon Hunter, even though you have like a level 7 Demon Hunter? And likewise, you can't just leave. If your other idea was, I can just leave one Demon Hunter, level that up, and then scrap every single demon, just like summon in one Demon Hunter, and then eventually when it gets a mark, scrap it immediately, and then upgrade one Demon Hunter at a time. You can kind of do that, But you can't do that forever because you can't survive on one Demon Hunter. Like, you can't survive on one level 7 Demon Hunter. You need the merge ranks. This might make Twilight hunting a lot better, because it going to a random Demon Hunter as opposed to being able to build one Demon Hunter while you build your merge ranks, the mechanic of this is just going to be awful. If you felt that Demon Hunter was weak before, like in its current state, if you thought that Demon Hunter was weak now, if you try to run Absorption of Evil, good luck. Because the idea of the marks going to random ones as opposed to a strong one to build up one strong one, building up one strong one also was a very susceptible strategy as well. Like, if it got Dark Priested or something, you had to immediately get rid of the Dark Priest effect. If it got Witched, like, you had to immediately get rid of it because you would just die. It was a very susceptible strategy. If it got Warlocked, you would die. But it going to random ones, it's going to I feel like it's going to severely be very strange. You're going to have to, like, eat very strange, you're gonna have like a level 1 with 9 counters and then be forced to eat it because you don't want to build that one. That's just my opinion, or that's just my thoughts on like how that might work, because that's, like, make no mistake, that is definitely a nerf. Not being able to control where those marks go and having it just spread randomly to whichever Demon Hunter is on the field is an insane nerf. If you take out all the event units, I feel like Banshee gets better, or Banshee becomes like one of the top decks. Inquisitor definitely becomes one of the top decks after Scrapper comes out. And I think Cultist. And I think outside of those decks, like maybe Demon Hunter, if Twilight hunting becomes a thing. But outside of event units, and I don't really feel strongly about any of those. Like, Cultist Inquisitor probably the most, but outside of that, I don't know if any... Monk is pretty good. Outside of like Monk, Cultist, Inquisitor, I don't know of any other deck that's good outside of event units. What will now just be solely event units. And having to say, you know, spend $120 or spend 5 years to get a max version of this event unit, neither of those are free to play strategies. Neither of those sound good for free to play people. Even somebody who was willing to spend a little bit in this game, $150 price tag to get a level 15 max event legendary seems like a lot. Let alone like waiting 5 years for the event to keep coming around to max one thing out, or to max 3 things out. That's a very long-term investment to tell somebody and to suggest. I had an entire video about my defense of event legendaries and why I think that it is good that they are the best in this game, but I also stated that in a world where Corsair was also able to beat it. When Demon Hunter was also able to beat it. When Inquisitor was also able to beat it. When there were chances, when like a Meteor deck that did infinite damage could theoretically beat it. Maybe not all the time, but it had a chance to. Because it was playing in a different kind of playing field. Like Dark Inquisitor Clock is playing on a different kind of playing field than what Riding Hood is doing. If they don't come out with ways to create a deck that isn't just pure damage to beat a Riding Hood deck with the rest of the cards, I don't think I like that direction. Because now, at this point, it's just pure damage, and the cards with the most pure damage are event units. When you have cards that, like, let's say you have a card that has 100 base damage, and you have a card that has 300 base damage, and then you have a card that has 400 base damage, and then you have a card that has 1,000,000 base damage. If you don't give the 1, 2, 3, 400 damage units a way to circumvent just dealing damage to hopefully beat the 1,000,000 base damage deck, if you're trying to say that, like, oh, all those tools that you used to beat the 1,000,000 damage base damage deck were like Shaman and Witch and Frost and percent damage. Oh, all of those, we're just gonna nerf all of those. And you're gonna have to just use your 100, 200, 300, 400 base damage and try to beat us. That is a definitive pay to win strategy. Like, your cards are not better than this, and it's just a damage race. And so if you don't have this, then you are just significantly weaker, and there is no other strategy to beat this. You just have to try to out-damage us, and you will not. It's getting very difficult for me to not say that this is a pay-to-win game, is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that I feel like I don't think that if you had a Max Riding Hood, you get that many benefits out of it. But I am saying that it is going to be the best deck in this game. And it is going to be locked behind a 5-year or $150 paywall. And if you don't want to pay or wait, your options are not great, and you will probably always lose whenever you face a Riding Hood deck. I just played Tournament, and I played against this. Level 20 Zeus, level 6 classes, max all legendary equipment, all the best ones, Spear, Mage Robes, Growth Tile, Morally Gray, Pocket Curse, Gold Counterspell, Max Riding Hood, Max Night Statue, Max Witch, Max Dryad, Max Summoner, 5,845% crit. There was no reality where I thought that I would win that. There was no reality where I thought that I would win that. I played this game to see how much I could do. And if that starts becoming like the norm, if that's just what you play against every single match, there's no way to counter that. You don't have a Corsair infinite damage strategy. You can't toxic them out of the game anymore, because they've now decided to divert attention to nerfing toxic decks, because that was a way to theoretically beat that kind of deck. It's a pure damage race against the best damage unit in this game. And if you don't have it, you will always lose.